Absolute Scarecrow is so powerful right now. So what's up, guys? This is Beneverse Comic, and right now we are going to cover this whole comic. So first of all, this happened in 1,500 miles from Gotham. And you can see like Scarecrow just walking out of the corn farm, and he's like smoking and showing in front of two farmers, right? And so he just come out in front of the combine harvester. And so the first farmer says while he was driving the combine harvester, "What in the heck is this guy doing?" And then the second farmer start asking the question, "Hey, you, what the hell do you think you're doing?" And then Scarecrow says, "Who? Me? Oh, I was just going for a walk." Now you can see he doesn't have any shoes, right? He's like, just walk out barefoot like a silly guy. And then the second farmer says, "Holy crap, Buck, look at his face." And then Buck says, "It's a mask, Vern. Guy probably got it at the party store on Central, right, freak?" So right now we found out that the first farmer named Buck and the second farmer named Vern, right? So Scarecrow responds, "You got me. The party store on Central. How'd you guess?" And Buck starts talking. Scarecrow interrupts him and says, "Gentlemen, come now. We're all friends here. Am I right? You guys have been best friends for more than 30 years. And Buck, that's despite the fact that Vern is banging your wife, Luann." In the moment, Buck just like, "What? How do you know my wife's name? And what are you talking about?" And then Scarecrow just smoked his cigarette and blew smoke into Buck's face. So Vern says, "Me and Luann? What is this? One of those internet prank?" And Scarecrow says, "Exactly, an internet prank. Spot on, Vern." Then suddenly Buck just take out his phone and looks at it. Then Vern says, "Buck, what is it?" So Buck was shocked and says, "It's you, sneaking out of my bedroom window with giant tube of, oh God." So after that, you can see all these black crows are flying around a plane, right? And you can see Buck is going after Vern. And you can see Vern says, "It didn't mean anything, I swear." And Buck still attacks him, right? And so you can see the plane is hit through all the black crows. So the plane is going to malfunction because you can see the glass of the plane is already cracked, right? And then you can see Vern is down to the ground. And so while Vern is begging, Buck gets in the combine harvester and he runs over Vern with the combine harvester. So Scarecrow just watching all of this and he's like, come to think of it, maybe this isn't a mask. And then Buck just gets out of the combine harvester and says, "How's that feel?" And suddenly he realized what he's done and he's like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" Then he just says, "I don't know what came over me. The thought of you and her. Oh, Vern, I was just so angry." And so Scarecrow responds, "No, Buck, you were scared." Then Buck looks at Scarecrow and says, "Mister, maybe we can still save him. I'll scoop up what's left. You call an ambulance, okay?" And Scarecrow says, "How about a plane?" And suddenly the plane crashes down on Buck, killing him instantly. Wow. Guys, are you seeing this? I want to say how. How can Scarecrow do all these things? So let's get into his power for a second. So in DC Comics, Scarecrow always uses his toxin gas to fear people or his enemies, right? But in here, you don't see that he uses that fear toxin anymore. So you can see when Buck takes out his phone, right? This means Scarecrow now has the ability to control it. And you can see when he says, maybe it's not just a mask, right? That means his whole ability comes from his mask. I think it's some kind of telepathy. So this Absolute Scarecrow is completely terrifying than the original, right? Because Scarecrow now can put all these fears directly into your brain. Wow, this is incredible, guys. So now we get back into the city of Gotham. So it says, in just the past couple weeks, the kid has shifted into an entirely new gear. I came back from MI6 to find him driven like never before. No friends, no distractions, nothing but Batman. Now this is so important, guys, because in the aftermath of what happened with Absolute Bane, so you can see Alfred Pennyworth is reimagined as an MI6 agent who travels to Gotham to investigate the new vigilante, Batman. He tracks and eventually crosses paths with this version of Bruce Wayne. But so in Batman's mind is that the mission of improving Gotham is the most important, right? And so you can see Absolute Bane just show up and kill some of Batman's friends. Also, you can see Waylon Jones was converted to Killer Croc when he was taken by Arkham, right? So now get back to the story. And the cops say, "Boom, we got you now." Then Alfred comes in, "Kid, they're 20 cars deep, no exit routes. Why aren't you slowing down?" And then the cops ask, "Why isn't he slowing down?" And then Batman just says, "Because I'm speeding up." Wait, you did hear what Batman said, right? This is so funny. And so Alfred says he goes to work and uses every penny to build things. Wild new bat things only he understands. In a way, I understand. He created Batman to tell people the real story of their city, the greed, the corruption. He never wanted Batman to become the story or the savior. How strange everything must suddenly feel to him, turned all about. So this means Batman is the champion of the people now, right? And maybe he doesn't want to be it. Maybe he just wants to be a guy who's trying to make some kind of a difference in the city. And so you can see right here, like Batman is driving his Batmobile at full speed straight toward, right? And then his car just flipped over. I mean, it's flipped onto the roof. I mean, it's changing from back to front and front to back. And so the cops say, "I get it, stop him." Then we get back to the conversation of Alfred and Bruce. So Alfred asks, "What do you call that thing, kid?" And Batman just like, "No name." And then Alfred's like, "How about the bat gimbal? It's a gyroscopic dev." And then Bruce just like, "I know what it is, hard no." And Alfred's like, "The bat gyro then." And then Bruce responds, "Harder no, Pennyworth." And then Harley Quinn just comes in and says, "That thing is nasty, the bat nasty." So to be honest, guys. This Batman's car has been given a lot of names, but yeah, the last one is perfect if I choose. But Batman is just like the hardest no in the history of no's. And Alfred continues on, I can't say I'm not impressed by what he has become. I understand the need to shut others out. Go it alone, fast and hard so no one can follow. But it does scare me. That strategy can lead a man to dark places where he loses himself. Still, if anyone can figure a way through, it's this kid, of that much, I'm sure. And so now Batman has the relationship with the Red Hood gang, and this gang led by Harley Quinn. And then they're like racing into an alleyway and they say, break it down, 30 seconds. And they start counting it down like 20 seconds, 10 seconds. And so one of them says, hurry up, man, out of the Bat Nasty. And then Batman's like, stop calling it that. And so you can see also the Red Hood gang love that name, just like me, because they all heard the conversation of Alfred, Batman, and Harley Quinn, right? And so in that moment, they just remove the car piece by piece and load it up into the van, and they say, we're out. And then they get the clothes from the shopping cart and wear them all together. And so in that moment, the cops roll up, and then one of the gang just points his hand in that direction over there. Now, because he looks like a homeless guy and he's got a shopping cart, so the cops are not going to ask any questions, and then just going in the direction that he points. And so you can see at this point right here, Bruce is walking along in the construction site, and then Waylon Jones calls him over, right? Like he just kind of standing in an alleyway. So now you can see he has not returned back to his human self after he traveled to the realm of the gods in order to attain an artifact that could transform him, who was turned into a monster back into human again, right? I mean, you can see this in Absolute Wonder Woman, or Absolute Batman, last issue, I think. And so at this point, Bruce is really glad to see him, because even his body's still not become as normal, but he's still got better than before, right? And that's when Bruce says, thank God you're back. And Waylon responds, not completely, but this thing you got, it's bringing me back. Now this is so important, guys, because we don't know if he is going to get to his human form perfectly or not, because this form that he has now, maybe it's a permanent form, or at least the only form that he can take. But it doesn't matter, right? Because you can see he can control himself now. I mean, he's not lost control of his mind like before. So at this point, Waylon asks, so what's the plan? And Bruce is like, the plan? And Waylon just says, the plan, man, the next move. How are we going after them, the ones doing all this to our city? And Bruce just says, we're not going after anything, Waylon. I never should have brought you all in. There is no we. And so the funny thing is, Waylon is just like that. There is the only we, Bruce. That's what I learned down there, alone in the dark. We only get through this together. Whether you should have or not, you brought us in. And now Batman is our choice to make. And Bruce just disagrees with him and says, I love you, Waylon. Take care of yourself. And then he walks away from him. So now let's jump to another point right here. Then, and you can see Bruce is now in the prison. And now Bruce tells Waylon, you should see the other guys. And Waylon knows what Bruce said is referring to Falcone. So Bruce continues, he's got a lot of friends in here. And then Waylon tells him, and out here too, because your bail goes up every time we meet. The guys, so Harvey's looking into legal loopholes. Ozzy is backdooring things. Eddie is questioning it all. Me, the fight money you gave me is tied up in the gym purchase. I tried to resell the place, but Falcone has everyone scared to buy. And Bruce says, Way, you sell that gym and I'll never talk to you again. I took Falcone's money, but I didn't just bet it on you. I bet it on all of us, understand? One of us wins, we all win. I save you, you save me. We all keep saving each other until we all make it out. Crime Alley for life. And then Waylon says, no one can change that. So you all know that Crime Alley is the alley that Batman's parents were killed, right? And so at this point, maybe Batman's going undercover inside the prison to dismantle Falcone's operation from within. Now getting back into this point right here. So you can see Batman, Alfred, and Harley Quinn are watching the guy named Jack Grimm on a live broadcast. And so Batman just says, he's everywhere all of a sudden. So we kind of have a news segment here. Warm welcome back to Gotham royalty, Jack Grimm IV, generous grants to multiple city programs. And then Jack Grimm says, because I truly believe that Gotham is all of us together. So this exactly Jack is winning people over. And that's when Alfred says, the charm offensive continues. So Bruce, for weeks now, the city loves him. So in the middle of this thing, there's a signal coming up on Batman's screen and he's like, what is all this? And Harley just continues, us being vigilant. And then Batman asks Harley, and then Harley Quinn responds, what? It's just a little something I whipped up. Still testing it. People can send a distress beacon to your cowl when they need help. I call it the bat signal. It's all untraceable, encrypted. It's not like folks out there can just be calling you on the phone. So guys, this makes a lot of changes, right? Because like we can see before, the bat signal has to be show up in the sky. There is the light that shines up with the sign of Batman. So people shine that signal light up to the sky when they need help. So right now, this thing has been updated. Yeah, I love the idea of this. So now Batman gets a call from Mr. Gordon and Bruce says, I'll be right there. And the Harley asks, we're all going to jail, aren't we? And then Alfred, probably. Then you can see this point is Batman gets to the rooftop to meet Mr. Gordon. And Gordon suddenly points his gun at Batman and says, who's there? And Batman says, I am. So Gordon just says, man, you move fast for a big guy. I'll have to get used to that, won't I? If we're going to make meetings like this a thing. But Bruce says, Mr. Gordon, on the phone, you sounded upset, scared. And Gordon just says, I suppose I did. How to say this? Look, over the last few weeks since your mother left, I've been doing some digging. It started with questions about the past, but what I found, it changes everything. Not just the past, but the present too. And it all leads right here, son, to this moment and to you. And then Batman asks, what leads to me? And so Gordon continues, all of it, everything. For days now, I've been wrestling with whether to call you or not, give these files to you. The truth is, I don't know what the right thing is anymore, but the deeper I dig, the more frightening it gets. And Bruce is like, Mr. Gordon. And then Gordon says, the more lost in it I feel. It's like one of those corn mazes, you know, where it's too tall to see over the stalks to the exit. And so Batman, maybe you should just show me? And Gordon asks, show you what? And then he realized, oh right, the files. And then he just continues, just prepare yourself, okay? And then suddenly there's a loud noise coming out, like you can see the crows, right? And then Gordon just says, this was a mistake. I should never have come here. Then he takes his cigarette and starts burning the files. So in that moment, his arm catches fire and then he just clumsy me. And so Batman just says, Mr. Gordon, just come with me. We'll get you some help, okay? And the crows are calling something. So Gordon says, I'm afraid it's too late for that. Just promise me you'll burn those files. Burn them, son, please. And then Batman says, it'll be okay, Mr. Gordon. And Gordon's like, no, if you don't burn them, I'll do it myself. And he's like chasing those crows away from him. And he says, trying to stop me, the birds, his bird. And so Bruce grabs the file and looks into it and says, what in the hell is this? And then Gordon says, I'm sorry, Bruce, for everything, but most of all, for what you're about to find out. And suddenly Gordon jumps off the edge of the building. And so in that moment, Bruce grabs him. And so he says, I have you, Mr. Gordon, hang on. But it was so sad because Bruce got only his shirt and Gordon already hit the ground. And then everybody there sees it and they're like, oh my God, is that Mayor Gordon? And some of them are like, look up there. It's Batman. He killed Gordon. So it looks exactly like Batman has killed Mr. Gordon, right? And while Bruce was standing on the rooftop of the building, you know what he sees. He sees Absolute Scarecrow lighting his cigarette and waves his hand at him. Wow. I mean, this is so insane, right? Because you can see here, there's no toxin gas, right? It's literally some kind of telepathic power. And so now you jump to this point right here as Batman is kind of traumatized by Scarecrow. And so he says, I had him. And so Alfred just says, it's not your fault, kid. And Bruce is like, for that 1 second, I had him. I did have him, you know, like he lost a father again. I mean, his second father. And so in that moment, the news comes on, bringing you a special message from Mayor Hill. And so he says, thank you, fellow Gothamites. I come to you with tragic news. Former Mayor Jim Gordon is dead, killed by Batman. And this is where he turns it into political nonsense and makes the whole situation about himself and says, Jim and I were close friends, more family than friends, in fact. No one was happier for me when I won the mayorship than him. Harold, he told me, to be honest, I'm relieved you won instead of me. You are the best man to keep this city safe. So you can see, guys, this is full of nonsense. I mean, obviously nonsense. And so that's when he gets cut off by a guy, and that guy just says, that's enough. So that is when the mayor says, right. And now here to explain how we will keep Gotham safe. And that's where the guy just steps up and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Slade Wilson. Now, you don't know me, but what I know about you, about the people of this city, is that you're tough. You're unafraid. Because Gotham, it tests you more perhaps than any other city on earth. Still, every single day you pick yourselves up, you put yourselves together one step at a time, and you go out there and you face Gotham head on. For too long, though, you haven't had real help. Today that changes. No more darkness. No more creatures of the night terrorizing your streets. From now on, let Gotham's symbol be a messenger of morning. With that, I present to you the Robin program. See, guys, do you see the ending? It's really a crazy ending. So let's continue. Founded by one of Gotham's own founding sons, Jack Grimm V. Mr. Grimm sustained an extraordinary support for Gotham's youth, especially its least fortunate children, is well known. He has sheltered, mentored, and guided countless numbers of troubled young men and women over the years. He takes the misunderstood, the wards of the state, or those who have fallen through this city's many cracks, and helps them find their way, the ones who've turned to criminality. Guided by an exceptional leader, orphaned at an early age and raised by Mr. Grimm, this team will be Gotham's new totem. So all these names here, you should recognize: Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Jason Todd, Duke Thomas, and Dick Grayson. So all of them are the traditional Robins of Batman. Wow, all of them, right? And then he says, I have had the honor of training them, and they are more than ready. So at that point, you can see all of them are approaching and saying, we don't understand, General Wilson. The order said to suit up for duty, but we already did. And General says, that's because those aren't your suits, Captain Grayson. These are. And so in that moment, the General presents them their suits. So we cannot see what their suits look like, right? But maybe we will see in the next issue. So the General says, together, we will end this long, dark night of fear and terror. We will bring back the light, but make no mistake, it will be a fight, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe the biggest fight in the history of this city, and it starts right now. So the story ends right here, guys. And I also end my video too. So thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. And if you like my content, please don't forget to click the like and subscribe buttons. You know, it helps me a lot, guys. Thank you, guys. Peace.